Hey everyone, welcome to the Child Anxiety FAQ podcast. FAQ stands for Frequently Asked Questions, and I'm answering listener questions about child and teen anxiety. My name is Friedman, and I have been working with kids and families for more than 30 years as a preschool teacher, parent educator, family case manager, clinical mental health counselor, and now as the owner and operator of Child Anxiety Support, where I coach parents of anxious kids. This month, we're talking all about kids and anxiety and sleep to celebrate the launch of Bedtime Navigator, my 6-week coaching program for parents of anxious kids who just want a good night's rest. And this week's question is, what are some tangible signs that my child's anxiety is impacting their sleep? That's a great question because often parents will come to me with a specific anxiety issue. And as we are working together, it comes out that sleep is a problem too. And of course, if you've listened to the last 2 episodes, this is no surprise to you, as I shared this statistic that 9 out of 10 generally anxious kids also struggle with sleep. But parents don't always know that they can start an intervention with sleep. They feel like they need to deal with the anxiety first, and that perhaps will improve sleep. And actually, working on sleep as the intervention itself makes terrific sense for a couple of reasons. One of them is remember that we deal with anxiety by helping our children go towards the things that worry them, to confront those things. And you all know that anxiety increases in the evening. It becomes part of bedtime. We'll be talking about that in a minute. And so when we tackle bedtime, we're tackling anxiety. And that's a great intervention. The other reason why it makes sense, and the research really bears this out, is that when we improve sleep, we improve anxiety functioning. Lots of symptomology improves when we deal with sleep, and that includes ADHD inattentiveness, and that includes some autistic behaviors. So kids who are neurodiverse also benefit in managing their sleep issues and improving their sleep. Good sleep also means better learning, not just better learning in the classroom, but better learning anxiety coping tools and the kind of cognitive shifts we need to make in anxiety. This includes you. When your sleep improves, your ability to manage your child, to manage the anxiety, learning that you're offering them to cope with your anxiety about your child's anxiety, that all improves too. So why not start with sleep? But let's go back to the question about those tangible signs that your child's anxiety is impacting their sleep. And I'm going to share really common things that come up when I'm working with parents. The first is dreading bedtime altogether. And maybe that's you. Maybe you're dreading bedtime because your child is going to kick up such a fuss. Maybe you have to drag them through the bedtime routine. Maybe they're those kids who keep popping up out of bed with some stall tactic. Maybe they get so worried about the next day that they don't want to go to sleep and they start crying or fussing or starting fights with you or starting fights with siblings. Maybe they start bringing up all their worries, those kids who just kind of vomit out all of their worries at night and really wind themselves up into a fit. These might be kids who all of a sudden realize they've got to repack their whole backpack. They need to figure out what they're going to wear tomorrow. They're just going to have a clothes crisis and be frantic about that and then cry that they don't have anything to wear and beg you to do laundry or threaten to not go to school. These might be kids who feel like they need to study all night because they have a big exam and they can't stand to just give themselves a break and go to sleep. Sometimes they need you to lay down with them, or they keep calling you back into their room, or they need to have more and more discussions about what they're worried about. Maybe they can't fall asleep if you're not nearby, or if you turn off the TV and go into the kitchen, they come out because they're used to the TV being on and it upsets them that you turned it off. This might be a child who just has trouble falling asleep. You find out later that they were up all night or just laying in bed thinking about how they can't get to sleep. And the more they want to get to sleep, the less they're able to fall asleep. Their tension is just sky high and they don't know how to deal with it. This can be a child who needs to have their light on all night or needs to listen to television shows. This might be a child who wakes up repeatedly at night and comes into your room to wake you up and ask you to come lay with them or wants to climb into bed with you or needs to go through their whole sleep routine over again. This could be a child who's having nightmares, and so they dread going to sleep because they're dreading those nightmares. And they want you to promise them that they're not going to have nightmares this time, that they're going to be able to fall asleep. This might be a child who you can't wake up in the morning. You wake them up and they fall back asleep. You wake them up and they fall back asleep, or they keep hitting their snooze alarm. And so they're always late, and the mornings are running you ragged. These are all sleep issues that can be related to anxiety and are more likely to appear if you have an anxious kid. You may not realize that it's a manifestation of their anxiety, but in fact, it likely is. If your child is anxious through the day, then the likelihood of them having difficult bedtimes, difficult times staying asleep, and difficult times waking up in the morning just is much higher than if you have a non-anxious kid. Sleep can be an issue for the whole family then. I mentioned before that the definition of pediatric insomnia isn't just that your child is struggling with sleep, it's that their struggle with sleep is interfering with your sleep. So if your child's sleep is interfering with your sleep, if their waking up and worrying is causing you to miss out on sleep, if you are laying down with them at night and so you're having to stay up later to get your evening chores done, then that is an issue for your family. That is important to tackle. That's where your family needs help. If you're curious about Bedtime Navigator, you can read about it at childanxietysupport.com/bedtime-navigator. Feel free to direct message me with any questions, or if you have a question you'd like me to answer on the show, you can direct message me or contact me through my website, and who knows, maybe I'll answer it on a future episode.